What's going on, y'all? So listen. What's going on, y'all? I had a busy day of doing reviews and I didn't get no sleep last night. I had to wash my hair. That's why I got this on because trying to let that shit lay down. These edges trying to make them look like something in the morning. Bitch, and I'm tired. I am tired of talking, okay? Girl, and y'all know I can talk. That Real Housewives of Potomac video was like 40 goddamn minutes long, bitch. For fucking what? Because the episode was long, okay? And I talk too damn much. Anyway, and I'm over the Married to Medicine. I want a new season, okay? Fuck this goddamn reunion. It did not need 3 parts. I'm gonna say it again. It did not need 3 parts. You got Scott ass out there with the men, and he's still up there lying. Okay, you put that whole thing out trying to make it seem like you was lying about the life coach to get at Contessa to make her feel bad and all this stuff. Whatever, bitch. The whole excuse didn't make sense that he gave. I can't even. Kieran was the only one that was stepping up and saying, basically, you're saying one thing and it's just all sounding a whole bunch of fucking confusion. That's what it is, okay? Y'all need to communicate. Like Eugene said, y'all don't talk. Y'all not saying exactly what it is that y'all need to each other, okay? You got Curtis trying to be the level head and, trying to see it from his side mostly. He leaning more so towards Scott's side, okay? Well, he did this because of this and, they did. Girl, shut up, okay? Curtis, just be quiet, and I ain't call him girl just to call him girl. That's just it's just slipped. That's what I always say. Everybody say girl. But, you know, Cecil just came up with this point that when he was listening to them, when Scott came out there on the stage, he said it was like looking at him and Simone and that I'm gonna do me and do this, and that's not gonna work in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, looking at Scott, the difference between him and Simone was when they released that information about them filing for divorce and stuff like that, he knew about it. Okay, so it didn't come to a shock to him when he said, when he was made notice of it during the reunion or when Simone put it out there. So when he was looking at Scott, Scott was shocked as if he didn't know anything about it. Okay. And I'm still sitting here like, no matter how you like, I just don't get how they basically trying to blame it on Quad in a sense because they kept on bringing up Quad and the reason why she said this and the reason why she said that. I'm not necessarily saying they blaming it on her and her wording, but they're trying to make it seem as if, well, Quad put out there the separation and I thought it meant that they was talking about the final thing or whatever. Even Dr. Heavenly said that, like when you brought it up, I thought you was about to say that they getting a divorce and stuff like that. But Quad said file for separation. She didn't say file for divorce. Okay, I got it. Everybody else got it. How come you couldn't get it? What about that? And it just says guilt, okay? And Scott said no, I understood what was being said. It was just that it caught him off guard because he thought that we put this to bed. That's what it was. He thought that they put it to bed and that's not what it is. At one point they brought up the fact that some stuff was supposed to happen like 2 months ago when they had put the house on up for sale, and it's no longer up for sale because he wouldn't sign off on it. Being the controlling factor up in this whole thing. Contessa in the back saying, if nothing changed, she gave him a timeline. They got until her birthday next year, which is June 4th. I had to look that up. Literally almost a year. You got until her next birthday to get this shit together. And they asked her, has anything changed ever since you gave the timeline? And she was like, no, nothing. And I'm like, look at that. That's your answer right there. He don't care. Look at the way he came out there. He's sweating fucking bullets. The nigga trying to get his words together. He just has this guilty look in his eyes as the way that he's trying to defend himself. And I'm not saying he does not deserve to defend himself, but if you're going to defend yourself about some stupid shit that you done did or try to cover your tracks, at least make that shit make sense. Make it seem plausible. Come up with a good excuse that make it seem real. You know what I'm saying? So that we can sit here and be like, when the truth finally come out, damn, I didn't even think that happened because he sold that shit to us so good. No, Scott is just giving away all the telltale signs that he's basically up here fucking lying. Andy ain't buying the shit either because Andy the one asking all the questions that we want to know. And at this point, I'm like, okay, whatever. If y'all get separated, y'all get separated. If y'all get divorced, y'all get divorced, bitch. We don't care no more at this point. Truth be told, I think they still gonna be together. I think they still gonna be together. Next season, they gonna still be the fuck together. Anyway, next, can we move this shit along? So we get into how COVID has affected people this particular season of them filming and what it done in the March on Washington. Andy had asked Kieran about his business and his practice or whatever, and he said, yeah, he had to close his thing down for some months, and it was a little bit hard because all of his work was basically elective surgery, and then you're got bills, your main bills already, and I'm pretty sure they got a whole bunch of them. Okay, plus you're trying to build a house that was already over budget, so you going through that. It was tough. Okay, and then they asked Eugene, and then Eugene wanted to interject and was just saying, just to see some of the other doctors, and there's no disrespect to them, to say basically, they all went through it, or to hear them saying that they all went through the same thing, is almost as if it's an all lives matter type of thing. That's what it sounds like. They laughed it off, but I kind of get where he's coming from, because when it comes to the ER doctors, and the ICU doctors, as they said, they on the front line, but they are more so on the front line. I guess that's what Eugene is trying to say. And because, even though Dr. Jackie, she and Dr. Simone, they got to be there for their patients or whatever, they don't necessarily have to be all the time in the ER or in the main hospital if they're not delivering patients. Okay, that's what I guess he's coming from, and nobody took offense to it, and he gave his experience about how he was just, it was just almost as if he just was disconnected from his family because he didn't want to bring home anything to them. He didn't want to be like, oh, I got COVID, so I killed my family. You know what I'm saying? And the way that he delivered that, I felt so bad for him. I really felt bad for Eugene. And I was like, I know he trying to stifle back some tears, hold them back or whatever. Because when he gave that experience about one patient where he had to, jump on top of her bed with his PPP, PPE protection, just falling off of him just to get the ventilator in her, only for her to die the next day. That struck a chord with me. And he was dabbing back tears and everything. And I even saw Toya's face. She had emotions, and everybody was just feeling it. And it was a scary time. It was a scary time. Everybody had it rough, especially the frontline doctors. Everybody had it goddamn rough, and I feel like they had it rougher because they had to put themselves directly in the line of this pandemic, this virus or whatever. So they was talking about that, and then they get into talking about the March on Washington, how it was a success, and Dr. Heavenly, because Andy asked, was there any white people there? Or no, not necessarily that. Dr. Heavenly said for her, it was the fact that Carrie came there, this white woman that wanted to be a part of what they was doing. That meant a lot to her. And then Andy was asking, was there anybody else there, like outside of black people, whatever? And I'm like, yeah, if you saw the protest, truth be told, I thought it was a dumb question, because if you saw the protest that was going on outside, for the Black Lives Matter, for George Floyd, for Breonna Taylor, for everybody who, got unjustly killed in by police brutality and everything like that, you saw that it was a mixed crowd. Yeah, we saw a lot of black people, but you did see a lot of different other people, other cultures, other nationalities, other ethnicities all up in there, So yeah, it was. And, of course, it was amazing, liking the fact that it was like a lot of young people there. So that was a positive experience given what was going on with the world in this pandemic. So that was I guess, a up for them. So they get to talking about, first we got Kieran and Quad, they joking around about the Captain Hook situation and stuff like that. Um, they was talking, Andy even asked, how do you feel about, Anila saying that you was packing down there? He was like, I ain't even paying no attention to it, like, oh, okay, whatever. Okay. And, they get into asking Quad, would you talk to somebody who was driving a Hyundai because of the situation with Cecil and Simone? And she was like, Most likely not. Okay, obviously that means that they can't do anything for me. Let me tell you something, quiet. I understand, but baby, you are coming off very gold digger ish. Okay, and you just make me think that you really, like, a lot of people was not buying your relationship with Dr. G. Okay, and it just makes me feel like you really was not here for him like that. It was the money aspect and the status aspect that really kept you there for as long as it did, until you couldn't take it no more. I don't know, baby girl. It's not really making you look good on that front in my eyes, okay? But moving on from that, Simone was talking about what attracted her to Cecil. They lived in the same apartment complex. He was playing tennis. He had some amazing legs, and all of that stuff. Yada yada yada. Okay, they cool. They cool. They fine. Then it get into, why is it okay? Curtis came out and said, why is it okay for the women to say something about the men, but then the men can't say nothing about the women or come to them about shit or whatever? In this day and age, things have progressed. If you want to be the man, you should be able to take the shit. Now, let me tell you something, Curtis. I was with you when you was right, okay? I was with you when you was saying something right, but when you threw in that shit about wanting to be the man or whatever, that ain't even what it's about. If, you know, if the women are talking and the women are going through some stuff and they're arguing or whatever, y'all men just stay out of it, because technically speaking and realistically speaking, this ain't your fight. Let them women argue that shit out. We don't see the women getting involved in y'all shit when y'all get into it. That's what they're trying to come at. Okay, that all you trying to be the man. Ain't nobody trying to be no goddamn man. Okay, that sounded so sexist. Okay, that sounded so misogynistic right then and there. I was like, Jackie, get your husband together. It was like an old school type of thinking. Okay, and they put up a tweet that Eugene had posted after hearing Quiet and heavily talking about their finances or whatever, and he was going at them and all that stuff. And he said he shouldn't have posted it. It was probably one of those nights that he had a drink and he was a little drunk and tipsy or whatever. But it was after some things that Quiet said. Quiet said, I said what I said, and it was after Toya said some shit on the live or whatever, and he was like, you said shit, okay, after she said shit to me on the live, and I don't take it back. That's exactly how I feel. Okay, I don't take it back. I appreciate the fact that she stood in it, and that's one thing Quad did this whole reunion. She stood in the shit. Okay, annoying as hell a little bit because of the performative aspect of it, but she stood in it and she was like, "You want to play tennis or whatever? Go get a skirt, bitch. If you want to get involved, I can get a skirt for you." He said, "Just make sure that shit expensive." Okay, so they going back and forth, back and forth. How do y'all feel about that issue? Should men get involved in women stuff? Should women get involved in men arguments and stuff like that? Should they voice their opinions and shit like that? How do y'all feel about that? Especially in this day and age where we're progressing and stuff and looking for equality and things like that. Should you think that it's equal opportunity? Because Quiet said, bitch, I come, listen, I don't care if it's a man, woman, child, whatever, you can get it. And truth be told, if you enter into something and you want to put your nose into something, prepare to get some shit back. That's how I look at it too. So after that, Eugene, well, Heavenly said she appreciate Eugene for the fact that, Heavenly did say something, and instead of taking it to Heavenly, he took it to her husband. Okay, he took it to her husband, and Dr. Damon got her ass together. And so she said she appreciate Eugene for doing that. And yeah, cause she old school with it too, but it's a respect factor as well. So they bring up the whole thing with Scott and the relationship, what viewers had to say, and they read a question about how Scott, you need to get up in therapy. Obviously, your wife is not happy, and you're not listening to her. Put your ego to the side and just, just listen to what she's saying. Okay, get back into therapy. And so at this point, he was like, yeah, I hear, I'm thankful for it or whatever. And Heavenly brought up the whole thing about the life coach. Now, because Andy was like, now, ladies, I know that y'all was listening backstage. What did you feel about Scott's excuse, okay, about the life coach situation and the phone and all that stuff? And then Heavenly said, now, at one point, you did say that you had a life coach, but you said that you was lying about it, so you was lying. But then when we was out there at Jackal Island, you said that it was a man life coach, Kevin Johnson. That's what you said. Okay. And so, I was like, which one is it? That's what Contessa was saying. Which one is it? Everybody was like, which one is the truth? Which one is a lie? Just be fucking honest. And they even asked, Jackie and Simone, what was their real intentions about bringing Scott out there. And, Simone was like, this helped us. Like, being in the group, it helped them, helped her and Cecil from not going through the divorce that they were planning on going through. Okay. And that's basically what they thought. They thought that being in the group and bringing these issues out or whatever would make them see that they really want to work with each other and get their situation together and bring them closer. But it really didn't do nothing but open up a big can of worms. That's all that it did. But I mean, their intentions were great, but the outcome just wasn't. It was a 50-50 chance that it would go right, and it just didn't. I am so irritated by this third part because it did not need to be a third part. Oh my God. We spent 2.5 parts talking about Contessa and goddamn Scott and other insignificant stuff. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But anyway, basically, why you tell you had a life coach and you didn't? Why you changed the story up? And then somebody asked, Kieran, what's your opinion about the whole thing? If I skip some shit, who gives a fuck? Okay, because it's the same thing. I feel like I've been repeating myself this whole part 3 of this reunion and saying the same thing that I said last week. Kieran said he first of all, Scott didn't want him to say nothing. Like, I don't even know him like that. And Kieran was like, don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say what I gotta say. He ain't gonna say nothing to me. I'm not gonna back him in the corner or whatever. Because then Contessa was like, don't say nothing either because I don't want you to face the wrath of Scott. And I'm just sitting here like, the words that y'all choose to say when it comes to each other does not give off the good impression that you guys are working on your relationship, that things are working. That's why people are forming the opinions that they have. Okay. And Kieran said, I can protect and I can stand up for myself. Okay. I don't care. Basically what's going on, it sounds a bunch of bullshit and it sounds like a bunch of confusion. Y'all ain't talking to each other. I done heard like 15 different stories. Okay. And then Contessa said the thing about the life coach situation that, Scott then said this is the reason and all this stuff. She just heard about that. That's the first time that she heard about it. Mind you, Scott said that he already told her about it. I said, see, this is why I just can't give too much more energy to it, because Scott is lying. Contessa is gonna stay with that man. Ain't nobody finna do shit, okay? He still can't even remember. Contessa said, what is the one thing that I said that we need to do? What is the one thing that I want in this whole marriage? Scott was like, what is it? I said, oh my goodness, it's counseling. It's counseling. You was asked this earlier when you came out there on the stage and bombarded the whole production, and Toya answered it, and you still can't remember it. And it's just like, it was irritating. It's irritating. I don't even care to go too deep into it because who gives a fuck at this point? Them two are still gonna be together. This picture about the esthetician and stuff like that. Scott, you was dead ass wrong. You was dead ass wrong. It's one thing to post somebody's stuff, to do promo for them if you getting paid for it. At the level that you are a public figure, so you're getting paid to do this or whatever. Ain't no freebie shit. Ain't no freebie with a stranger, okay? No, 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 okay? And then you post it. It's not just the post, okay? It's the fact that you showing the men and everybody on TV about the lady and then saying, oh, she bad, oh, she bad. You know what I'm saying? Contessa ain't gonna want to be with her, or ain't gonna want her to work here and all this stuff. Like, you got those thoughts in your head. It just doesn't make anything look good. And what it all comes down to is this: Scott is a gaslighter to Contessa. That's all he's been doing this whole damn time. Okay? With the talking about the kids and saying that he got a girlfriend with Siri, talking about the esthetician, talking about the life coach and all that shit, talking about girl, you're a gaslighter, okay? That is what you are, Scott, and I'm over it. Can we move on to something else? Then they start going over all the shady moments of the show. Who is the shadiest? Dr. Heavenly. Who is the habitual line crosser? Dr. Heavenly. Girl, I don't even remember half the shit that they said. But I am so disappointed. I'm so sorry, y'all. But yeah, when they brought up that question about if Toya dies or whatever, who will get Eugene? And then what Heavenly said. And Toya said, what happened if that's the case? If Heavenly was basically the only option, Eugene to die and come to heaven with me. That made me laugh for some reason. It made me chuckle. I ain't even gonna lie. And then that whole thing about Choir getting her house or whatever. And they was like, well, you talked about Choir saying she ain't got no man to love her, she ain't got no kids or whatever. Heavily up here, all of a sudden got amnesia. She don't know or remember what she said. They played the clip back, and even Andy said, when you was in the car with Funky Dineva, okay, you said the shit. All right, she was like, well, damn, if I said it, I said it, whatever. Okay. They was going through their shit at the time. That's why she was being shady. The whole thing about the dentist and Anila saying being a dentist is easy, and some fan had to check her and be like, you got to go to 4 years of this school, then 4 years of a specialty, and then plus some other shit, and Heavily said it's not easy. Check the surgeries that I had to do. Trust and believe. I don't want no dentist that think that it's easy to do. Nah, because that means, to me, that sound like you're going to be careless with my goddamn mouth. And I'm already nervous when I go to the dentist as it is. I have to go to the dentist as it is right about now. Thank you for bringing that up, because I got to go make my appointment so I can get my crown on my tooth so I can eat on my other side of the tooth. Damn, bitch, I've been eating on one side of my mouth because that cracked tooth, that feeling that I told y'all I went to go get, 3 days later, the bitch came back out. I said, ain't this about a bitch? They did say it was temporary. But, yeah, that was going on. Who was dancing, who can dance or whatever. Oh yeah, Heavenly was talking about, they was like, when Carrie said something about Dr. Damon calling him daddy and all this stuff, everybody was impressed with the fact that, she held back and she showed restraint. And she was like, I mean, I did show restraint, but I wanted to say something about the fact that, her husband, she was Duncan, she was with her husband or whatever. She was practically a mistress. She basically had him cheating on her, on his previous wife or whatever. And I was like, you ain't had to say that, but you already said it. You said you didn't want to say it, but you still put it out there. And you notice how they didn't even mention nothing with Lisa Nicole. Okay, I don't know why they didn't have Lisa Nicole up on here, because we needed to know the facts and know what the fuck was going on with the goddamn COVID labs and shit. That's what would have been the whole storyline. We needed to know that. We could have asked some questions. But other than that, it was cute. They asked Choir who you think is the best dancer. Nobody, she said that they call her the Beyonce. No, Destiny Heavily said she was the Beyonce of the dance group or whatever. And I guess Simone Toya and it would be like Dr. Jackie would be Destiny's Child. And then she was like, Simone to be Kelly, Dr. Jackie would be that other girl. I said, don't do Michelle like that. And she knew what she was talking about. She just couldn't get the name to come up, because she was like, the other girl, they was like, Michelle. She was like, yeah. And then they was like, Toya can be Farrah. I said, first of all, Andy, you ain't have to hit us like that, okay? Bitch, Toya was offended as shit. And Heavenly said, don't nobody remember her. Who the hell is Farrah? I said, bitch. Luggage. That's who she is. Okay? That was funny. I did get a laugh out of that. So the end of the reunion, finally, what they take away from the reunion, how they feel coming in, leaving. Heavenly is good. Anila was good with seeing everybody, especially being in the cast full of brown and colored, brown colored. Bitch, it's time for me to go to bed, because that wasn't even supposed to come out like that. People of color. That sounded racist. Oh, don't say I'm racist. Please don't say that, because I don't like that. I hate that word colored. I really do. And I don't know why it popped up. Anyway, it's time for me to go to bed. So yeah, that had happened. When they got to Quiet Bitch, everybody has gone around, and I'm just gonna go from everybody. Contessa, she was like, with her relationship, her husband, she good, it's normal. I said, bitch, it's not normal to be going through the shit that you going through. Okay, but all right, that's how you feel. I just want my husband to know that I'm his biggest cheerleader. I'm his support system. I'm always there for him. I love him. He got the support of everybody else, and I just need him to see it. I ain't got time for it, okay? If they come back, I don't need this whole sis. If you come back, either y'all together like this, bitch, or you apart. And it's a quiet and Dr. G situation. That's what we need, okay? You see he ain't on here. You know, that's what I need. Bitch, and then, Simone and Heavenly, Simone and Heavenly gonna work on their relationship. And, she said if Heavenly take me off a block, and then Heavenly says, you're not blocked. I'm gonna take you to dinner, do you a late birthday dinner, get you a gift. Heavenly said, take me to Red Lobster. That's their place. Her and Dr. Simone, and I should say Dr. Simone and Jackie, they gonna be good or whatever. They gonna work at it and it's gonna be all right. Bitch, when they said quiet, they was like, did you feel some type of way, coming in then differently than you came in, now that you're about to go? She said, no, I felt great. I felt great coming in. When people was up here, and because Andy said, did you get everything out that you need to say? You just had people up here trying to talk about my apartment, and I was very disheartened when Toya was trying to talk about my home. I shouldn't have called it an apartment. It was a townhome. And she never been up in there. And when I know where she went through and who she got her loans from and what she had to go through to get her place, and here I am with my $2.2 million home that I actually brought with my own money, that I didn't have to steal from, didn't have to borrow, didn't have to do this. And you can talk to my investor Stanley Morgan and all this shit. I said, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Now, bitch, we trying to close this shit out. Why you have to rile this shit back up? Okay. I was just like, was that all necessary? Was it necessary? Anyway, get this shit off my goddamn TV, bitch. I'm so frustrated because this was a waste of time. I am so sorry. I love this show, but 3 parts this season didn't even deserve 3-part reunion. And yeah, we wasted time on the same shit talking in circles. Anyway, y'all tell me how y'all felt about it. I'll see y'all later. Peace.